get the show on the road because Gigi is in the house. So, hey guys, I am Phyllis Nash, your Chief Sales Officer and one of the co founders. Really happy to be here this morning on the Diamond Factory, where we have none other than our own. What is it today? Wake up wealthy now. And so, as promised, I will read a quote from a great leader because of African American History Month, Black History Month. And this was sent in by Crystal Robinson. And she sent in, people fail in life and business because they give up. Don't ever stop until you attain your goals. That was a quote from Vernon R. Jones Sr. Thank you, Chris. So, guys, keep those quotes coming in, please. We need it. We are only on the 10th day of the month. And so I'm going to get out of the way and bring up our president, my friend, my sister, my mentor, my business colleague, on none other than Evangelist, state senator, soon to be fourth term state senator here in Illinois, Dr. Patricia Van Pelt. You want to take it away?
Yes, I do. Thank you so much, Phyllis. All right. Welcome, everyone. This is Wake Up Wealthy Now, and I am Dr. Pat, and I'm one of the co-founders of Wakana, and as our very fine chief sales officer said, I am also an evangelist. Okay, but I'm not going to preach to you today. Well, that's my alarm telling me it's time to get on with you all.
Preach, girl.
All right, all right. I wanted to bring up something that I experienced many years ago, 40 years ago, 44 years ago. I was in church. I got in church. I was just getting saved. And I was just trying to learn everything I could learn because I had no idea that God was around. Okay, I just thought he might have been, somewhere away from us and that we would take time for us to get a message to him. I didn't even think he was paying attention to us or anything. I didn't grow up in church. So, and I was in the service in a Bible study, and I would always ask lots of questions. And one of the teachers was teaching about you only get to receive what you believe. He said, if you don't believe something can happen, then it can't happen for you. That's what he said to me. And I was sitting there thinking, and if I can, only way I can receive something is if I believe it could happen. And even now, when I think about it, that is a whole lot of what we hear taught all the time. So I asked him back then, I said, so if I can only receive what I believe, how is it that there's a place that you call hell? Because I don't believe in a hell, until I can come to believe it. I mean, so do I need to not believe in hell? Because that's what I was asking him. And I wasn't being funny. I was brand new. I'm like, okay, you saying we're going to go to hell if we don't have faith and walk with God, then how is it that I can only receive what I believe? And then if I don't believe in hell, does that mean there is no hell? And he fumbled around and stumbled around and whatever. And I wasn't trying to put him in any precarious place. I was just trying to understand what was going on in this world that we're living in. And it took me time to really get to understand. It took me years to understand why that was the case, why there's a hell, even though I don't believe in hell, right? So, just like some people don't believe in God, right? It took me a while to understand that. So I want to share something with you, and I hope I make this clear, because it might be a little, it's clear in my mind, but it might not be clear to you. So if I don't make it clear enough, I'm gonna work on it some more, because I just got this morning. And I heard this young man said, I've seen the future and it ain't fun. He said, I've seen the future and it ain't fun. The future is not fun, he said. He was basically, what the preacher said really applies to him, because he was saying that you can only receive what you believe. If he believed the future is not fun, he's going to walk into that future believing it's not fun, and he's going to look for signs that what he believes is true, right? And that's what he's going to focus on. He's going to latch on to that one thing that says what he believes is true, because that's how we fortify our thinking. So if you think about the preacher that said to me, you can only receive what you believe, and you hear this young man said, I've seen the future and it ain't fun, it seems like then, yes, he's going to receive that because that's what he believed. But when you stand back and look at it, there are things that are all around us. That, like I said, the young man, he would latch on to what he agreed with, what he already believed. He would latch on to that. So therefore, in his future, it probably wasn't fun because he had already, said that it wasn't going to be fun. He walked into it thinking it wasn't going to be fun. He feeling it wasn't going to be fun. And he walked right into it. And then sure enough, he wasn't having fun because he said, I've seen the future and it ain't fun. But regardless to what he believes is happening in the future, that does not mean that everybody else is going to have the same experience, right? So if he said, I've seen the future and it ain't fun, then you would think that if he had the ability, he was casting a future out there that wasn't fun, that everybody else that would walk in the future wouldn't be having fun either. But that's not true. Other people could walk in that same future, walk side by side with him, work where he works, live where he lives, and everything, and still be having fun. Why? Because we play a giant role in the reality that we live in. We play a giant role in it because we cast that reality based on what we spend our time thinking. Now, I'm going to come back to that, but let me get back to the whole question about hell. There are some universal laws that exist whether you believe it or not. There's certain things that's going to happen whether you believe it or not, right? How many of us thought that COVID would happen and we'd be wearing a mask for 2 years? We didn't think that. We didn't believe that. And all of a sudden we're living in a time when there's COVID, right? And we got to wear a mask and people are dying all around us and people are getting really, really sick all around us. And we didn't believe that. We didn't make that happen. But my point is there are certain things that already exist. They're the laws of the universe. They're things that are here. And it's up to us to take those resources from the universe and create our reality. That's the thing. We had to create our reality. So let me get back to the hell point. The point of hell is that as I was saying back then when I was talking to him, and I came to understand over time, that is that there's some things that we don't have anything to do with, like gravity. We didn't make gravity. Whether you believe gravity exists or not, it does. And if you jump off a building, you'll find out, yeah, gravity exists, right? What goes up is coming down, right? It's coming down hard and fast. So even though we may say, I don't believe in gravity, we jump out the window, gravity is there, right? There are things that exist that we have nothing to do with. But the point I want to bring to you today is that everything that we need to create the future that we want to live in exists around us. It exists around us. We have everything we need to create the future we want in the future. I mean, not that we want to, the future we want to live in. We have the ability to bring those things together. Now, when we think about this, when we spend our time thinking about, okay, this is the future I want. Why isn't it that this future is not happening? I see myself winning. I see myself overcoming. I see myself achieving. I see myself losing weight. I see myself doing all these things, and they're not happening. Those things are not happening, even though I see myself doing it. And you know what? The largest reason that I can explain to you why that is the truth, and it is true, you have vision that you're going to be wealthy in 2 years, you're going to have whatever, $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, 2 years pass and you don't have it, right? Only the best way I can kind of like explain this is to talk a little bit about faith and how faith works. Faith, it can do anything. You can do anything if you have faith. You have ability to believe. You can move mountains with faith. That's what the scripture says. So I want to stick with that. But what we lack most, which keeps us from ever creating the future that we want to have, is we lack imagination. We lack imagination. As we get older and older, we lose our ability to imagine things. When we're kids, I mean, we can be sitting in a chair, and that chair can turn into a locomotive, and all of a sudden we going down the road, going down this track as fast as we could, and all of a sudden that chair can take wings, and our locomotive is going through the air. All of a sudden we flying all around the air, and we're having a ball. Okay, and all we're doing is sitting in a chair. But as kids, we had that kind of imagination. As we get older, the world just kind of like beats that out of us unless we fight back to get it back. It's not faith that we lack, it's imagination. Because the scripture said a faith is the size of a mustard seed, can move a mountain, right? That's all it said. So if it's just the size of a mustard seed, so small you can barely see it. Some people, if they don't have their glasses on, they won't even see it, right? If that small amount of faith can move a mountain, what is the problem? Why is it that the future that we see, that we have, is not the future that we see? It's like the young man said, I've seen the future and it ain't fun. You said, well, I'm not saying that. In my future, I got something good coming. Okay, so we got to put our imagination into that every single day. We cast a future and then we walk away from it by imagining other things and thinking other things and doing other things other than what it takes to get to that future. That future is cast out there. It's real, but we have to meet ourselves there, right? We got to meet ourselves there in that future. And the only way we're going to meet ourselves in that future is to continue to keep our mind set on that and figure out what it's going to take in order for us to meet that future. It's not going to just happen. Just like the preacher told me, he said, you only receive what you believe. And that was a good teaching for right then and there for me to understand about faith. But in reality, the bottom line is that it's not completely true, right? It's not completely true, because there are things you're going to receive that you never even knew existed, right? It's going to be opportunities to open up to you that you haven't even conceived in your mind. There are going to be things that happen to you that you don't even think can happen, right? So it's more, it goes beyond that, because there is a world around us. But what we do have the ability to do is define that reality, define what that means. When my daughter was killed in a plane crash some years back, couple decades back, I was working at my computer at home, and I had my TV off, so I wasn't listening to the news. She was a student pilot, and had I been listening to the news, I would have known what happened. But I hadn't been. I was working on a proposal, and I realized that she hadn't come home, and it was late, and she never stayed out late. She always came home. And then she hadn't called, and she always would call me. There's nowhere in the world she would be gone, right, and not call me. This is the kind of girl she was, a really precious, sweet child. And I thought about it. I wonder where she is, And then I kept working on my computer. Then it got to be about 10:30 at night, and they should have been back at 1 or 2. Right. So I walked outside and I looked outside, and I started thinking about what could have happened. And I said, well, she could have been in a terrible car accident. I said, and she can't call me. And I had to ask myself, what does that mean if she's been in a terrible car accident? And then I thought about, if she would recover. Maybe she, if she was in this terrible car accident, the recovery may be slow because it was such a bad accident. She's not conscious, I'm thinking these things out of my mind. And I said, what does that mean? And I said to myself, it means that she's been in a terrible car accident, but it also means that God is with us and that God is going to help us. That's what I said. And then I said, well, she could be just out with her friends and just didn't, contact me, which never had happened ever in her life. And I said, what does that mean? I said, that means that she's off track. Right. And that I need to help her get back on track by helping her remember that how important it is to make that connection. I will need to teach her. Then I thought she could be dead. I said that in my mind. I said, I looked outside at the stars. I said, she could have been killed. I said, and what does that mean? And I said, that means that God has kept his promise, because it's pointed to everybody to die once, right? But he's kept his promise, and he's taken her home with him. That's what I said. And when I got that phone call, letting me know that she had been killed in a plane crash. I had already defined the future and what that meant. It meant that God had kept his promise and he had taken her home with him and that she had given her offering to the world and it was enough. It was enough. That offering was enough. And I was blessed to have had her for 17 years. And I said that day as I looked outside. We need to understand that the future is coming. Every second, we're in the next future. We're in the future. Second from right now, we're in the future. How we find that future determines the level of peace, prosperity, and health that we have. The peace, the prosperity, the health, the spirituality, all that's tied to what we think, what we apply to the things that happen to us, or how we respond to the things that happen to us. Everybody experiences life, death, divorce, marriage, love, pain, health. We all on earth, and we're going to experience all of that. And we have to define what that means. What does it mean for me to experience death in my family? What does it mean for me to just experience wealth in my family? What does it mean for me to go through a sickness? What does it mean for me to come out? All those things need to be defined, and they need to come back to who you truly are and what you truly believe. When I stood outside and looked in that sky and I thought those things that could have happened and might have happened, I trended back to my belief that God is real, that he's real. And what his word says is real. And what he said is going to happen has happened already. I trend back to that. But if you don't have a foundation to trend back to, you're going to be lost in the wind. You're going to blow in the wind. So my message today is, I want you to understand your relationship with the reality that you live in. I want you to understand how you are creating that reality, based on how you respond to the things that's happening to you. Get down to the truth about what you really believe and fight like it ain't no tomorrow to keep that belief in the face of everything that says it's not happening. Everything that says it ain't gonna happen. You got to fight. You got to fight to believe what you know is true, right? What you know is true. And you cannot let that whole thing about what ain't gonna happen and this ain't gonna happen, that ain't gonna happen, and your future ain't no fun, all that. You got to fight all of that with what you know is true. My God shall supply all my need according to his riches and glory. I shall be the head and not the tail. I'm a lend and not borrow. I'm getting there because I believe that, and I allow my imagination to go through this storm that I'm faced with right now. Through this messy middle that I'm dealing with right now. I'm looking through this storm, through these clouds, and I see the truth on the other side. So I'm done. Phyllis called this out, y'all. Phyllis called this out.
Yeah, I think you went and gave us a sermon this morning. I know I feel blessed. Thank you so much, because we can do all things. We got to believe.
That's right. And it's so true, Phyllis. When we're facing these struggles that we face, a lot of times, people give up because they don't go back to what they know is true.
That's right. I've had many a struggle, but hey, if I look back, I'm still here and I'm still moving.
That's right. And when you got sick, you said, I'm going to get well. Yeah. You didn't say, oh my God, I'm sick. This is terrible. It's the end of the world. You said, no, I'm
give it up. Now I want to be here.
Right. When your check ain't what it want to be, you say, well, it's going to be what I want it to be. So yeah,
maybe I'm going to make it happen.
That's right. That's right. Because you go back to what you know is true.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to inspire everybody to do that. And Phyllis is back in your hands if you want to say anything.
Girl, I'm touched. You can close it out. This is show day.
Okay. Well, I'm Dr. Patty. I'm always going to be inspiring you to rise to purpose. We all have purpose, and we need to rise to it. I want you to have a Wakanda kind of day. Bye now.
Amen. Bye-bye. Thank you. That was special.